everybody's feeling the same thing. There's no hope. It's all outside of my control. There's nothing I can do. These are the common things. It's not fair. These are the common things that people feel.
Your life is a series of lessons you've learned. Now, if you just dwell on the failures, like that's not healthy. It's not smart and it's not empowering. What you got to do is look at those failures and go, well, now you know what not to do.
So being a victim is being completely powerless and taking away all control you might have, which ultimately doesn't make you feel safe, which ultimately doesn't give you happiness, which ultimately doesn't give you prosperity and, fill in the blank. And so what does being a victim get you? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
And first off, life is not fair. Bad things happen to good people. Perfect plans suddenly, in the blink of an eye, can be ripped apart and just be totally thrown off course. And it is this, so many people, and the victim mindset is a mindset, well, that's not fair. Well, you're right, it's not. But guess what? Sitting there and focusing all your blame and time on the fact that your perfect plan or something happened or your world got thrown upside down accomplishes nothing. Nothing.
Life is filled with so many different kinds of experiences that are available. And that's one of the things that you sort of open up to when you relax. When you relax and, you don't worry about what you look like, you don't worry about what you sound like, you don't worry about how people feel about you, because you've thought about all these different things on your own, and you've kind of corrected as many things as you can correct given that time period. But you feel comfortable that you're on a good path. Mm-hmm. Then you sort of can entertain ideas that maybe you wouldn't if you were insecure. Sure. Or more insecure. I think you have to be insecure if you're finite.
A victim mentality limits your success in this life. You will stay wherever you are and you will achieve the limit of what you believe, which if you believe you're never going to get out of the neighborhood you grew up in, you're right, you will not. And if you're waiting for somebody else to save you, it most likely is not going to happen. And actually what I have come to find over time is even if someone comes to save you, if you don't believe in yourself, we can't drag anybody off the X, because guess what? They will climb right back onto it. Mm. It's only an individual that believes in themselves. Greatness lies in every single individual. And the only thing stopping an individual from being successful is them. It doesn't guarantee it. I will say that. But I tell you what will guarantee you never moving forward is if you buy into that victim mindset and just sit on that X forever, waiting for some miraculous thing to come along and save you. Because if you don't start that process, it'll never happen.
When you're a victim, you're in zero control. Like, you have zero control. And we can go, from the simplest thing of like, you're a victim and you want the government to take care of it. Well, what if the government fails? Well, now you're screwed, right? So you need to be independent in that space. You're being abused, you're a victim. Yes, I understand that there should be sympathy inside of being a victim for something that happened, but that's the key, something that happened. If it's happening, we're talking a completely different thing here, and I want to make sure that's clear. If you're currently being abused or you're currently being, victimized, then please seek help. And it's not being a victim to ask for help. What's really, to me, being a victim is you're past it. It's happened, and now you just keep replaying that in your head over and over and over again.
People that follow me know I talk about the X. The X is really a military term that stems from a point of attack. It can be an ambush site. It can be a target you're trying to take down. The flip side of the coin, if you get attacked, you are on the X. And the victim mindset, if you say to yourself, I am not able to do something because race, creed, color, gender, size, where I came from, socioeconomic status, whatever it is, any of those things pin you to the X. They give you an excuse to sit on the X because you're able to say, well, I can't do this because I'm a specific color, or I can't do this because of my gender, or I can't do this because of my gender persuasion. None of that really matters. And there's millions and millions of people. It matters, but it doesn't matter because the reality is it doesn't matter for your ability to drive forward out of a bad situation. And usually when there's a bad situation, there's a natural tendency to focus inward on the pain and the misery and all these things. But the reality, it's on you to take that first step. And that became the genesis of this idea that I now speak on, getting off the X. And it is a victor mentality. It is a mentality that I don't care what happens in my life, I'm going to continue to drive forward. I'm going to figure out a way.
A lot of people are just running from discomfort. They're running from it. They're just avoiding it. It's so easy to. And like if you get distracted for a second, you're like, let me check my phone. You just start going through your phone and looking at, and you're just distracting yourself from the tiniest frustration of boredom. Just the little, we don't get bored anymore. Or if we get bored for these tiny amounts of time, and then you get distracted. So your distraction is eliminating your boredom. But the problem with that is like, there's certain thoughts that only come to you when you're thinking, when you don't have any input coming in. When we're constantly looking at our phones, the only input you're getting is input from other people. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes you get good stuff out of that. But it's like a diet of only fruit, like you need some protein. Like you need to get some other things in your diet, and I think having discomfort in your diet, like having it as a regular part of your life, it minimizes the amount of other kinds of that you create.
I didn't know any of this stuff when I was a kid until I was about 16, 17. I started like reading encyclopedias on the human body and mind. But even then we had no clue. And now like all this science is coming out about energy and positive and negative and chemical hormones being stored in the brain and like memories actually releasing endorphins, like all this stuff's happening. And it's like, wow, cool. Like the monks had something. Like, it's like we're like going and proving these very, 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 very ancient rituals to be scientifically like accurate. And who knew where they got their inspiration? But regardless, we're now proving that this rewriting of the story, this telling, yourself and believing something different literally changes the chemical makeup in your body, which releases different hormones and different endorphins, which then allows you to have a different, complete outlook. And not just that, but we're sensual beings, so we sense other things from other human beings, right? Like we use the old adage of dogs, right? Like if you're scared of a dog and you go up to it, it's gonna know you're scared, and so it's gonna bark at you more or whatever. Human beings are the same way, right? If you're unconfident, you don't feel sexy, and you don't feel this way, that's how you're gonna come across. Not because that's what you really maybe are with skin and all that, but that's the chemicals that you're releasing. It's okay to have had something happen to you. Like you're not a bad person because of that. And it sounds crazy unless somebody's watching this who's gone through something. The guilt you feel and the things that you carry that you haven't told anyone because you're ashamed or all these things. That's okay. But continuing to allow it to affect you, that's on you. That's not on the abuser. That's not on the situation. That's on you. It's a choice you have to make of, I am no longer going to let this happen.
When you decide to get up and drive forward, I think action cures all is what you said. I say movement is life. Movement is life. Movement creates momentum. And the great thing about momentum is even if you step into another ambush or into another hole, guess what? Movement enables you to, hopefully knock out of it. And with that movement, you take action. When you get off that X and drive forward, number one, it creates hope.
You get so much more benefit out of a struggle that you choose to embark in versus a struggle that life throws upon you. And I think the more you choose to embark in these struggles, these especially physical and mental struggles, because I consider both martial arts, yoga, and actually even trail running, I consider the mental struggles as much as physical struggles. Like, because I could stop anytime I want. I'm halfway up the hill, I can go this. I'm walking the rest of the way. Call my dog over, put him on the leash. I'm like, we're walking, buddy. But or you could say, no, this is what I'm doing today. I have a very clear plan in front of me. My plan is we're doing 4 miles today. This is where we start. This is where we end. This is what we're doing.